In the name of the dead. That night, the moon didn't rise in the sky, it rose in the eyes of a girl standing silently by the edge of an old village well. The wind was still. Even the trees seemed to hold their breath. Somewhere, a night bird cried, but it sounded more like a warning than a song. Her name was Nayla, the daughter of Mozu village's wealthiest landlord. Beautiful, regal, adored by all. But beneath her silk shawl and soft smile, a silent storm raged. Every night, under the veil of stars, she snuck out through the back orchard wall, to meet Owais. He wasn't rich. He wasn't powerful. But his eyes carried a truth, raw and untamed, that Nayla had never seen in any of her suitors. He'd wait for her, always on time, seated beneath the old neem tree. And when their eyes met, the entire night bowed to them. "Aren't you ever afraid?" she'd whisper. "Fear only exists when you betray your own heart," he'd smile. "And I never have." Their nights were stolen, but pure. Their love was forbidden, but real. Until one morning. Everything shattered. Nayla's father called her into the drawing room, dressed in traditional pride and cold decisions. "Your wedding is fixed. Next month. To Dr. Fahad, one of the finest surgeons in the city." "You're lucky." Lucky? Her world turned cold. That night, when she met Owais, she didn't say much. Just held his hand a little tighter. He tried to speak, but she silenced him with a trembling voice. "Just pray I survive this." And the next month, Nayla became someone else's wife. The wedding was grand. The city dazzled. But far away in Mozu village, a heart shattered quietly in a mud house. Owais spiraled. At first, it was silence. Then came the bottles. Then the powders. He stopped working. He stopped speaking. He stopped being. His younger brother, Samir, begged him. "She's gone, bye. But we're still here. Why are you punishing all of us?" Owais stared into the fire and murmured. "Because she never left." Not from inside. The village began whispering about him, the mad lover, the lost soul, until one night, a brawl broke out near the fields. Some say it was over land. Some say it was about honor. But those who truly knew suspected something else. The next morning, Owais's lifeless body was found in a ditch. Beaten. Broken. Cold. The villagers were shocked. But the real twist? His body was sent, for postmortem, to the very man Nayla had married. Dr. Fahad. And what Dr. Fahad did next was something no one in the village, nor the world, could have imagined. It was nearly midnight when the ambulance rolled into Cityline Hospital, a place that usually smelled of sterile floors and half-saved lives. But tonight, it carried a corpse, stiff, silent, and soaked in secrets. Dr. Fahad stood in the white-lit postmortem chamber. His surgical gloves were on. His team had left. He had made sure of that. Because tonight, he didn't want witnesses. He looked down at the body, lifeless and bruised. But even in death, Owais's face seemed peaceful. Almost forgiving. And that enraged Fahad more than anything. "You took a place in her heart I could never reach." He whispered the words into the silence like a curse. He remembered how Nayla had cried in her sleep, calling out a name that wasn't his. He remembered her pauses, her distant gaze whenever he tried to hold her hand. He remembered the unspoken truth that their marriage had 3 people in it. "You ruined my wife. My pride." His breath grew heavier. The scalpel in his hand didn't tremble. But something inside him did, something dark and irreversible. And then, he began. Not with the calm professionalism of a surgeon. But with the cold fury of a man betrayed. Cut by cut. Organ by organ. Rage in every incision. The postmortem became something else entirely. This wasn't science. This wasn't protocol. This was vengeance disguised as medicine. When the morning nurse entered the chamber, she screamed. Because the body on the table wasn't just dissected. It had been hollowed. No heart. No liver. No lungs. Just a shell. And then came the questions. Police. Media. Villagers. What happened? Why was the corpse mutilated? Who signed off the report? But Dr. Fahad, calm, poised, stated. Greater than it was already in bad condition. Rats in the ditch had done half the damage. I only followed procedure. But whispers rose in the village. Why did the body come to him of all people? Why wasn't it cremated immediately? Why did he insist on a solo autopsy? Soon the truth, or something dangerously close to it, reached Nayla. One evening, she barged into the hospital, her face pale, eyes swollen. She slammed open the office door where her husband sat. "Did you do it?" she asked, voice shaking. Fahad leaned back in his chair, fingers crossed. "Do what?" "You know what I mean," she shouted. That was Owais. I had moved on. I buried those feelings. Why did you dishonor his corpse like that? Something snapped. Fahad rose from his chair, walked slowly toward her. He stopped inches from her face and whispered. You moved on? Then why do you still cry his name in your sleep? Silence. He continued. You gave me your body. But your soul? You never even tried. That corpse got more of your love than I ever did alive. The argument exploded into rage. Nayla screamed. Fahad shouted. Objects flew. Tears spilled. And then came the words neither of them ever thought they'd say. I want a divorce. Nayla left the house that night, not looking back even once. But she didn't return to her father's mansion. Instead, she showed up at a humble village house, knocked on the door, and stunned the man who opened it. Samir, Owais's younger brother. Rain fell that night, not from the sky, but from eyes that had forgotten how to cry. Zoya, the widow of Owais, stood by the window of her dimly lit home, her hands cold, her lips dry, her heart burning. Everyone thought she had gone numb after her husband's death. But numbness was a lie. Inside her, grief had turned to fire. She had heard the whispers. She had seen the headlines. Doctor accused of mutilating lover's corpse. And worse. She had seen Nayla, the woman who once shattered her marriage, now standing beside Samir, her own brother-in-law. Love? Healing? Forgiveness? No. This was theft, again. They took her husband and life. Now they were taking her family too. She watched from the trees as Nayla helped Samir wash vegetables at the well. Laughed with his mother. Breathed like she belonged. You don't get to rise from ashes you never burned in, Zoya whispered to herself. But revenge is never easy for a woman alone. So she went to the one man she swore she'd never speak to again. Dr. Fahad. His clinic smelled of bleach and decay when Zoya entered unannounced. Fahad looked up from his files, surprised, amused, slightly cautious. You look like death's favorite widow. Zoya didn't flinch. She sat across from him, eyes sharp, voice flat. We have a common enemy now. Fahad laughed, a short, bitter laugh. I turned her life into a nightmare. She divorced me. What more do you want? Zoya leaned forward. I want her erased. Broken. Gone. Fahad's face darkened. If I help you, I'll be digging my own grave. She nodded. Then dig mine too. But do it after hers. He studied her face for a long time, then opened a drawer, pulled out a small black vial. This isn't poison, he said softly. It's worse. It won't kill her. But it will take away her movement. Her body will remain. But her will? Her freedom? Gone. Zoya took it in trembling fingers. And how will I give it to her? Fahad smirked. She still trusts your family. Use that. Pretend to forgive. Be her shadow. And then, let her fall. Days passed. Zoya appeared at Samir's door with a cooked dish and a rehearsed smile. I thought it's time to move on, she said. Let's not live in the past. Nayla, surprised, hugged her gently. Zoya smiled through tears. But inside, her soul was sharpening knives. That evening, she served tea, sweet, warm, and laced with paralisanol, a drug so rare it didn't even exist in local medical records. Nayla took a sip. Then another. Her laughter echoed. But by midnight, she couldn't feel her legs. By morning, her hands didn't respond. By afternoon, her voice was broken, slurred, distant. Doctors were called. Tests were done. But the results were inconclusive. Some called it a stroke. Some called it a rare nervous collapse. But Zoya knew. She had taken her voice. Her strength. Her freedom. But what she didn't expect was that Nayla would still keep her eyes open. Silent, yes, but filled with questions, regrets. And something more terrifying. Fire. They took her legs. Her arms. Her voice. But they forgot one thing. Her eyes were still wide open. Nayla sat by the window now, a prisoner in her own body. Her wheelchair faced the morning sun, but her mind was locked in night. People came. They pitied her. They whispered things like, how strong she is. It's a miracle she's alive. Poor girl. Married twice, lost both. But inside Nayla, a storm brewed. Her memories were sharper than ever. She remembered the bitter tea. The odd aftertaste. The fake smile Zoya gave her that day. Zoya now visited her every week, acting like a sister, holding her hand like a nurse. But Nayla's eyes, cold, glassy, unblinking, followed every step she took. She knew. And she was waiting. One evening, as Samir sat beside her, Nayla blinked once, long and slow. Samir smiled sadly. You're so quiet now, he whispered. I wish I could bring Farhan back. I wish I could fix this. At the name Farhan, Naila's fingers twitched slightly. Samir didn't notice. He continued, "There's something I never told you. About your ex-husband, Dr. Fahad." Naila blinked twice. Samir sighed deeply. "When Farhan died. The police said it was a street fight. But I don't buy that. There were messages." Naila blinked again, slowly this time. Samir leaned closer. "I found something in his old journal. Farhan suspected Fahad long before his death. He wrote that he felt followed. Watched." Her pupils dilated. A tear slipped down. Samir paused. "You understand me, don't you?" One blink. "Yes." That night, Naila's mind replayed everything. Farhan's laughter. The smell of street dust after he'd sneak into her father's orchard. The quiet fear in his eyes the last time they met. And then, the monster in the lab coat. Fahad, now free. Still practicing. Still untouched. Her body was broken, but her will had never been stronger. Meanwhile, Zoya stood in her room, looking at the empty medicine vial. She should have felt satisfied. But she didn't. Why did Naila's eyes still scare her? Why did she feel like the story wasn't over? A soft knock on her door. She opened it to find a police officer. "Ma'am," he said formally, "we've reopened the Farhan Ali case." Zoya's blood went cold. "Why?" she asked. The officer glanced at his notepad. Anonymous letter. Claimed the body was tampered with. And that Dr. Fahad wasn't acting alone. Zoya froze. "Alone?" The officer nodded. "We believe he had help. A woman. The same woman who visited Naila the night she collapsed." He looked at her sharply. Zoya's lips trembled. "That's not true. We'll need to speak with you. Please don't leave the village for now." Far away, in her room, Naila sat still. But inside her mind, she screamed. "I'm not done. I'm not broken. I am the story you thought you silenced." Her plan had begun. And it was her turn now. To take everything back. The dead don't speak, Zoya once believed. But now, every silence screamed at her. Every mirror whispered her crime back to her. And every knock at the door made her heart stop. The police had begun their digging. Fahad was growing reckless. He called her twice last night. Once drunk. Once sobbing. "Why is this happening? You said she was done. She's just sitting there, but I feel like she's watching everything." Zoya had no answers. Because deep inside, she too felt those eyes. The eyes that wouldn't die. Meanwhile, Samir stood quietly in front of an old iron chest. It was hidden behind the mosque's graveyard. Inside it was a tape recorder, covered in cloth, and a black diary. Farhan's last belongings. The diary was full of suspicious phone logs, names, an old prescription written by Dr. Fahad, and one voice message. "Greater than if something happens to me. It's not an accident. And if this reaches you, it means I trusted you more than anyone. Please protect Naila. She doesn't know everything yet." Samir stared at the tape, hand shaking. He would not fail his brother again. The turning point. In the village hospital, Naila sat facing the wall. No one noticed a USB drive carefully tucked in her sleeve, slipped there by Samir. The nurse checked her vitals. All stable. Except her eyes. Cold. Focused. Alive. That night, the police raided Dr. Fahad's clinic. They found preserved human organs stored illegally. Evidence of Farhan's body being tampered with. Secret recordings in Fahad's phone, including Zoya's voice. Zoya was arrested trying to flee. Fahad was dragged out screaming, his coat ripped, his name now a symbol of disgrace. The media exploded. Village doctor caught in revenge murder and body mutilation. Wife played key role in disabling rival. But amidst the chaos, one photo spread faster than headlines. Naila. In her wheelchair. Eyes fierce. Smiling. Just once. 1 month later. The village had changed. Samir and Naila were now known as symbols of endurance and justice. But they lived quietly, far from attention. One day, Samir rolled Naila to a quiet lake where she and Farhan once met. He spoke softly. "I did what he asked. I protected you." Naila blinked once. He placed the tape recorder on her lap. Farhan's voice echoed softly. "Greater than even if they break your body, don't let them break your soul. I'll always be watching. Through the ones who love you." A tear rolled down her cheek. Her fingers twitched again, more than before. The doctor had said she'd never move again. But the will of the broken was more dangerous than any science. You can kill a body. You can silence a voice. But you can never bury the truth. Because ashes don't stay quiet.